All right, hello YouTube. Welcome to a brief, hopefully very brief. I don't want to go too long-winded on this, but we're here to review round one. Is finally recapped on the March Insanity, as we are calling it now. The 2023 March Insanity bracket to name the most beloved, or not no, most beloved, I'm sorry, for the best Dark Tower moment. Beloved was the last year. And yeah, round one is in the books now. Round two has now started. If you are watching this live or very soon after, and at the very end of this, going through the chart here, I'll talk about where you can, you can vote in the same place, same website. Everything's good there. But I will show the schedule here at the very end once we go through the brackets. But round one is done, and we have a couple upsets. One really surprised me. So let's just dive right into it here. We've already talked about it on the show. You've probably already seen the bracket and all that fun stuff. So let's go ahead and start at the top left. I should be in a way to where you can see all that. So on the top left, we started out with Eddie kills Blaine and Roland, and the Tet rides down the Coffin Hunters. That was the first matchup we had. So let's go ahead and take a look at the results of that. The winner of that one is Eddie kills Blaine. And this is actually the tightest victory of the entire bracket for round one. It came out to 52% to 48%. So very, very, very tight there. But ultimately, Eddie killing Blaine was the victor of this immediate showdown here. This one surprised me probably more so because of how tight it was. I was expecting Eddie killing Blaine to be kind of one of the heavy hitters. So for it to be this tight, I mean, definitely love Roland's Tet riding down the Coffin Hunters, but I didn't necessarily expect that one to put up much of a fight here. So that was kind of a surprise that this was the tightest victory. And then, so let's go up to the next one here, which is the Toll Massacre versus the opening line. That one, the results of that one are the opening line won. And this one was quite handy. This was an 81% to 19%, which is 19. That's a fun little percentage there for the Tall Massacre. But the Tall Massacre, I don't know if it's necessarily one that surprises me. I'm actually surprised it made it on the bracket. I mean, it's an interesting scene for sure, but I don't know if there's a lot of people that I don't know. I've never heard people talk too much about that being their favorite one until we started taking nominations for this. But the opening line, obviously, just everything. That's one of the greatest lines. But we're mostly talking about moments, not the actual literary thing. So for the opening line, it's more of that fact of like that desert. You got the man in black running, you got the gunslinger following. As good as the line is, the scene is pretty awesome. And it is kind of one of those things that captures our imagination and carries us through the whole series, most likely. So that one doesn't surprise me too terribly. But yeah, that one was not necessary. That is not, or actually, no, that is not the biggest blowout. We have one more that actually ended up more of a blowout than that. So let's move on to the next one here, which is Jake's final essay versus Roland's Command Me Nothing. And this one, Roland's Command Me Nothing, not a huge surprise for me. I've actually had a few people hit us up on social media that predicted this one to win. I could easily see that happening, although, or no, actually, no, this one it wasn't too big of a surprise. This was a 74% victory over 26% for Jake's final essay. I think Jake's final essay is a good moment, but I don't think that the Command Me Nothing moment from Roland, I think that's kind of a heavy hitter, so that doesn't surprise me that that one won. This is actually one of my favorite moments. So I will be interested to see how it goes as we are going forward in the future here. So then this next one here is Roland starts again with the horn and the Balazar shootout at the Leaning Tower. And this one is actually probably the biggest shock to me. I don't remember in the previous ones if we've had, I know we've had some upsets, but this is probably the biggest shocker because Balazar shootout, the way we set up the bracket, on the top left, bottom left, top right, and bottom right, the very four corners of the bracket were the most popular when it came to the nomination process. So Balazar shootout is one of the top four, definitely a favorite to go far, but it actually got bounced. So Roland starts again with the horn, actually won, which is a shock to me. This is probably the absolute biggest upset for sure. And Roland starting in with the horn got 53% of the vote to 47% for Balazar's shootout at the Leaning Tower. Very surprising to me, again, because of the nomination process. I thought Balazar's shootout would probably go deep, deep into it, if not the final four or final two even, who knows. So to see it get bounced here is a absolute shocker for me. So let's go ahead. I need to flip my camera to get on the other side of the bracket here. Or actually, I'm sorry. You know what? Let me go back to the other side here because I want to look at the sorry, I'm doing this on the fly, so I'm actually going to hopefully not get everyone too dizzy because I do want to actually do round one all the way. Then we'll look ahead and look at what the round two matchups are. I know if you're watching live or watching the video, which is the best way to see the results week to week, you'll be seeing kind of what the matchups are, but I do want to prognosticate and talk about them a little bit. So let's go ahead the rest of round one, though. So up in the next corner here, the top right corner, we have Showdown at the Traveler's Rest, another one of the heavy hitters, and we have Jake's Drawing, and this is of course the drawing in book 3. I didn't necessarily, I thought about the way I put it on the bracket. I tried to clarify to make sure people knew we were talking about this one and not him being hit by the car. I do know that technically quote unquote draws him, but I think the way that we see drawing throughout the series, hopefully that was clear to everyone that we're talking about the door and the mansion and the quartet coming together to bring him through. Him dying and then showing back up into the waste or into the desert. I know that's him coming into the world, but I don't consider that his drawing. So that's what we're talking about. But ultimately, the Showdown at the Traveler's Rest won, and the thing that actually kind of surprised me here is how tight this one was, because the Showdown at the Traveler's Rest is one that I believe is probably maybe the favorite. Especially if we look at the four corners, Eddie kills Blaine, Balazar shootout, Roland dancing the Kamala, and the Showdown at the Traveler's Rest. I kind of felt that the Traveler's Rest one here would be the most popular. So the fact that this one got a tight victory over Jake's drawing at 55% to 45% kind of surprises me. I expected this one to be a handily won by the Traveler's Rest, but it was actually a lot tighter than I expected. Maybe that speaks to the coming together of the quartet for Jake's drawing, that people really love that. And it's not that that's a bad moment at all. It's just that the Traveler's Rest Showdown, I believe, is one of the more widely regarded favorite moments. So I expected that one to be a handy victory, and it ended up just not being that. As I'm going on the fly here, Josh, welcome to the chat. We are doing the March Insanity, which is legally not March Madness, of course. The fan voting, we're doing it. We've done it for we did it last year. We did it back in 2019, and this is the results for round one. So round one just ended last night at midnight. So today, round two is now starting. So I just wanted to do some quick videos to jump on here and go through and do kind of a recap of round one, kind of look at the results, and then use this as a chance to launch into the next round. So I just realized that I missed this next one on the math. So let me do this on the fly real quick. Josh, you're a lifesaver, because asking there did give me a little bit of a delay to get this caught up. So next one we are talking about, I'm sorry, I haven't been clicking the slides. So Showdown at the Traveler's Rest did win. Again, it was a tighter victory than I suspected, but it did end up winning. But this next one here is the Palaver with the Man in Black, and then the Battle with the Wolves. This one, I don't know if I had much of a read on this one, but this one actually ended up being kind of tight. But the Battle with the Wolves actually won. So as iconic as the Palaver with the Man in Black was, it ended up losing. Battle with the Wolves ended up with 59% of the vote to 41% for Palaver with the Man in Black. I can't say that this one I'd say maybe is a minor shocker, not huge. I just expected the Palaver with the Man in Black to maybe win out around one a little. I love the Battle with the Wolves, but I don't know. I just think the iconic nature of the first book made me think that maybe that one would win. But again, that was not a huge shocker. I would say a minor upset there. And then the next one here is Roland calling the names to the tower, and then Jake's second death. There was a little bit of confusion. There were some people that thought I meant his third death, his final death, but no, this was indeed not as it was nominated was his second death, which is Go Then. There are other worlds in these. So that's that one. This is a weird one. I'm surprised it got nominated as much as it did. I love the line, of course, but it's obviously a pretty heartbreaking moment. But it is not a huge surprise that Roland calling the names to the tower won, but this is actually our biggest blowout of the entire first round. Roland calling the names to the tower took in 82% of the vote to Jake's second death, only getting 18%. I figured that one to be a divisive one because I don't think a lot of us necessarily enjoy seeing Jake die, and especially seeing it at the hands of our supposed protagonist. I think it's a shocking moment in the book, and I think it's hard for a lot of people to come to terms with the fact that they just saw their main character allow the death, if not kill, a young boy that was kind of his charge in this brutal world. So not a huge surprise that this is a blowout, because I think Jake's second death struck some people strange that one was on here, but we just went by the nominations here with the listeners. So that ended up on there. So yeah, 82% to 18%, biggest blowout of the first round. And then the last one here, I would say, is maybe a minor. This one actually may have been one of the toughest matchups in my mind, because Roland looking into the jetliner, I mentioned when we were setting this all up, this is probably the moment that got me absolutely hooked into the series. I struggled a little bit in book one, and then especially the first part of book two, so much was going on, it was hard to really understand what kind of style it would be. But the second Roland looks through that door and sees inside of a jetliner that we would be familiar with in our world, it was just so batshit crazy that I was in love, and that is the reason I think that I'm here doing this, and Peter and I are doing this podcast, because this moment just absolutely, this is where the series had me hook, line, and sinker. There's no way I was not going to read the rest of this series at this moment. So maybe I have some sentimental value into that moment, but Roland, it is going up against Roland dancing the Kamala, which is another huge favorite with everyone. So this is a tough matchup. Probably what I would have guessed would have been the toughest matchup. It ended up not being the tightest victory. Again, the very first one, Eddie kills Blaine versus Roland's Tet riding down the Coffin Hunters, was the tightest victory. But this one was probably the next closest. It probably that is the next closest. We ended up getting the victory going to Roland dancing the Kamala, which I guess is not a big surprise. Like I said, the four on the four corners were the ones with the most nominations. So those are kind of the ones that we would maybe see as like if you're a sports fan, kind of the favorites or the highest seeds. So that wraps up what round one looks like. So let's go ahead and take a look over at round two. Looking at round two, we now have Eddie kills Blaine matching up against the opening line. That is the first one you'll be voting on for round two. And then in the next bracket, we have Roland's Command Me Nothing facing off against Roland starting again with the horn. I don't want to like necessarily do too many predictions. We might do that on the episode, the roundtable coming up on Saturday. But I know I want to be careful not to like put our fingers on the scale in any way. But yeah, with those two matchups, those are good ones. Good matchups there. I have some ideas what might happen, but I don't want to necessarily get in the way to where we're maybe influencing it. But those are some good matchups there for round two. And then jumping over to the other side, we have the showdown at the Traveler's Rest going up against the Battle with the Wolves. So that should be an interesting one vote-wise. And then the last one here that we have as we're getting into the final eight, these four voting brackets here. It is Roland's calling the names to the tower and Roland dancing the Kamala. That is the one I'm probably circling the most as most interesting, because I think both of those are very big fan favorites, and I am really intrigued as to how that one will come out. I'm interested in all of them, but this is probably the one that I really couldn't call. If I had to make predictions, this is the one I'd be the most hard-pressed to find or guess the solution to, and how everyone will vote, because I don't know. That's a tough one. So that is round two. Let me go ahead and throw up on the screen here. This is our schedule. The second round is from March 9th, which is today, through the 16th. And the 16th, it'll end at midnight. I think that's Mountain Time. I actually didn't look that close into it. And then after that, we will start on the 17th to the 24th for the final four. And then the finals will be the March 25th through the 31st, which means that going into April 1st, we will have our crowned victor for Dark Tower's best Dark Tower moments, according to Dark Tower Palaver. Let's see. Josh says, I have my predictions for the first two. The third, I have no idea at all. Yeah, it is definitely some interesting matches. You know, I guess I forgot. I am on the screen here. Let me go like this so you can actually see. So yeah, round one is over. Round two is on now. You can go check the link. I don't have it here in the video, but you can go to our Twitter, Facebook, and the website, because the link that I sent out for round one is the same link. The website basically manages where I set the all 16 things, set the dates, and then hit go, and it basically handles everything the rest of the way. So I will come in here to read results and give that kind of stuff. We'll talk about it on the roundtables because we can't talk about it on book clubs, obviously, because of spoilers. But basically it handles everything. So go to any of the social media places or places website wise that you found the link the first time, click on it, and you will now be able to go and vote round two. I also do want to apologize. This is the first time we've used this place. I did not realize that they had the whole CAPTCHA bullshit on every vote. That is unfortunately an option I can't turn off now, because you basically set it up. It's not really like an account or anything. You just set up a poll on this website. There's some different options you have, and then you let it go. And I put it on no restrictions, so it's not looking at your cookies. It's not looking at your IP address. So basically, because we don't really care, if somebody really wants to go and stuff the ballot box, we're totally okay with that. And because I went to the least restrictive, it defaults and will not let me turn it off. So I didn't realize that till after the fact. And again, since they're handling the entire poll all the way through, there's no way for me to go back in and edit that. And I don't really want to like kill this poll and then start a new one. So it is kind of a pain in the ass. I'm sorry about that. I did not know that. Next year, I will probably, if we use the same website, I will set it to one of the lower settings, which means it'll look at your cookies, which means you might have to be creative with like different browsers and using your phone and stuff if you want to do multiple votes. But I think when I move it to that, I do think it'll let me do it without the CAPTCHA thing where you have to like click on a cow in its natural habitat or whatever nonsense. So I do apologize, because this website, if you have voted, you know it can be kind of a pain in the ass. Maybe that's making it so people don't want to vote multiple times, which is fine. If you only want to vote once, that's totally fine. And I did notice from the numbers, there are some of them that people are voting for more than others. We don't have it's pretty close, but there are some that have less votes. I don't know if that's because they were harder to pick, or if people, I think that's probably what it is, either harder to pick or less interested, because it doesn't like drop with later ones. So people didn't get like sick of the CAPTCHA thing and then stop voting. It looks like maybe there's some that people just chose not to vote in. So this is round two. I guess I'm not on the screen anymore. I can get back on here. But yeah, so round two is now going. So go on over, find that on any of our places. I will try to I'm going to probably throw out another social media thing here hopefully soon. It's right after work for me. It's been a long day. I don't know how much I'll have time for. I have to still eat dinner and everything. But if not, go to the previous links to go vote for round two, and I will be back on looking at this here on the 17th. I don't know what day of the week that is. Let me check that, because then I can tell you for sure. The 17th is actually a Friday, so that'll actually be easy. I'll probably be earlier in the day to have a recap on this, because that is not a work day for me. And then the 25th, when the Final Four ends and going into the finals, that'll be very interesting, because I will not be in the country. So I don't know how we're going to do that. Either Peter's going to do it, or I am going to do it from my vacation spot to read the results on that. But I've tried to keep this quick. Went almost 19 minutes, actually. But I will sign off, as we always do here, by saying long days and pleasant nights, and go and get your votes in. Thank you guys for joining us for this impromptu live chat. See you guys in a couple days for the roundtable. All right, bye.